Hi, my name is Barry. Welcome to Flotation Therapy on Wellness Hub. And today we're going to talk a little bit about flotation therapy and what to expect on your first session in here with us in Flowwell Salvage. Our state-of-the-art pods are filled with about 1,000 litres of water. Inside that water is dissolved approximately 350 kilograms of Epsom salts, and it's heated to skin temperature. The water is only about a foot deep, so as you step into it, it'll only be up to your shin. As you sit into it, you'll touch off the bottom. It's only as you lie back and give yourself over to it that you will begin to float. And yes, you will float, quite effortlessly really. The water itself is denser than the Dead Sea in terms of salinity. So as you lie back and begin to float, your body starts to let go in a true weightless environment. The muscles begin to ease and let go and breathe. Your skeleton falls into its natural alignment. You get natural decompression of the spine. It's not unusual for people who suffer from chronic pain or from injuries, or even just people who carry stress, that as your body starts to let go, it feels or can feel like there's a buildup of tension or pressure or pain in one specific area. This is just as a result of the body taking its time to let go. It doesn't always happen at the same time. So as it happens, these areas can be highlighted for a short period of time. Within a couple of minutes, rest assured, your body will let go of all that tension, all that pain, and you won't be able to hold or feel it anymore. Our pods provide you with the option of turning the lights on or off during your float. If you decide to have them off and you have the lid down, you do enter into a space of darkness where you don't have information coming inside your brain through your eyes. We also have earplugs that you can pop in that stop any salt water from coming into your ears, but also stops any residual noise from creeping on through, which means we shut off another piece of information coming inside the brain. Then the water, it being 36 degrees, your internal temperature being 36 degrees, soon as your skin catches up with everything that's around it, you start to lose a slight sense of touch in there as well. Don't worry, that doesn't mean that you go numb, it just means there's less information again entering into the body. So it's giving you a chance to really shut off. The one thing that we can't do straight off the bat is stop the thoughts that swirl around inside the mind, which can terrify the life out of some people. However, there are a couple of tips and tricks that I recommend to people to get the most out of your flotation, help guide you into a deep, restful space. So when you're inside the pod, I recommend you focus on one thing, your breath, because you only have one job when you're floating. The only thing you have to do is keep breathing. That's it. So we're going to use that a little bit. I'm going to guide you, or recommend even, that you breathe a certain way. That's to breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, and then exhale through the mouth or nose for a count of 8. And you count the numbers as you breathe. The reason that we do this is it guides us into a restful space. First of all, our exhale is how we down-regulate our nervous system. So if we can elongate that exhale, what we're doing is we're giving ourselves a chance to be more in our deep rest and digest phase. We've got two main extremes of our nervous system. Probably all heard of fight or flight, and we've also heard probably of rest and digest. Fight or flight is when we're nervous, when we're anxious. And often that comes when we're just experiencing something new, or if we're in a situation that does make us particularly anxious, whether that be, say, in public, in a busy area, or in a really stressful situation, like flying or something like that. What our body does is it tells us what it is going through the breath. So notice, if you're ever anxious, if you're ever stressed, you'll probably notice that your breath gets trapped up here, up in your upper chest. Often looks like that. And when we're at deep rest, like we're just about to fall asleep, our breath is often really low, really easy. So our breath is telling us what our body's going through. That means that we can also influence what our body's going through because we can influence our breath. So when we're in the pod, we're breathing in for 4 and out for 8. Just letting it out. Slow, slow, slow. The reason that we count the numbers as we're breathing is it gives our mind a job to do. And a busy mind is less likely to get lost in thought. It will happen. We have in between 60 to 90,000 thoughts every single day. But neuroscience shows us that we can only think about one thing at a time. So if we put our mind to a task such as counting a breath, we're less likely to wander in thought. You will though. You'll find yourself thinking about, what are you doing for dinner? What am I doing for lunch? Oh, this weekend looks pretty busy. Oh, work. Oh, do you remember that time when I was 12 and I fell off that bike? Or whatever it is. The mind is a wonderful thing in how it thinks, but we're just going to try and put a bit of manners on it. The key is that when you realize you're thinking inside the pod, I want you to do 2 things. I want you to say to yourself, I'm thinking. Second thing to say to yourself, now back to my breath. In for 4, out for 8. As soon as we do that, we bring ourselves again back into that present moment a little bit, where nothing else matters bar what's happening in that moment. However, this breath work can also guide you into your theta brainwaves. And what these brainwaves are is when you activate your deep relaxation, where you switch the conscious mind off a little bit. And if we can switch the conscious mind off, you don't necessarily realize it inside the tank. When you do realize it is when you come out the other side of it and you suddenly realize, God, that didn't feel like an hour, or time just disappeared on you. That's a sign that you've gotten into that space. It doesn't happen every float, and it certainly doesn't always happen on the first float. But the more you go to yourself and you recommend to yourself, I'm thinking, then back to my breath, the more likely you are to get into that state. Now, as John Kabat-Zinn says, if your mind wanders 1,000 times, your only job is to bring it back to the breath 1,000 times. That's all it is. So don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself on other people's experiences, on how other people talk about flotation. Each experience is private. Each experience is unique. Each experience is yours. And each experience is different. The more you do it, the more the benefits stack. So if you're dealing with chronic pain, or if you're dealing with chronic stress, the more you do this, the more likely you are to be able to transmit those skills over to your everyday life, or the more likely you are to lower your initial levels of pain to make it easier to carry on throughout your day. I hope all of that makes sense. When you come for your first float, make reference to the fact that you've seen this video. It means that I won't go through all of the same things all over again with you, but we just do like to make sure that everyone who comes in to Float Well has the opportunity to get the best session that they can get, whether it be your first float, or whether it be your 20th float, or your 50th float, whatever it might be. We just want everyone to have the best session that they can have. Talk to you soon. Be well.